First, though, let's talk to Farooq Aftab, who is from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, joins me live. Good morning to you, Farooq.
Morning.
What's been the reaction amongst your friends and colleagues to the publication of the second edition of Charlie Hebdo? Well, not obviously it's second, but second in the current story.
Yes, let me start off by first saying that the Ahmadiyya Muslim community condemns the attack on Charlie Hebdo absolutely. We offer our condolences to the victims and those left bereaved. Under no circumstances does Islam permit any person to take the law into his own hands, and we unequivocally condemn this barbaric attack. The reprinting of the cartoons has caused offence to Muslims. It's caused offence to, as you would say, many moderate Muslims. Now, you have to understand why this is. Muslims consider the Prophet to be the benefactor for all of mankind and a mercy for mankind. They hold him dear and love him more than any other person, including their own loved ones and dear ones. Consider it in this context and background why are Muslims justified in being offended? I would argue they certainly are, and they can express that sorrow and grief. But at the same time, let me make it clear that this does not mean Muslims can commit acts of violence and extremism in the name of the Prophet. That's not permissible, and that's not the way of the Prophet, and neither is it the way of Islam.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Farooq, and you've expressed it very eloquently and very well. And you've sort of pointed out the dilemma in that you don't want your Prophet to be portrayed that way. You don't want pictures to be published, and clearly violence is not the right answer. Do you have any sympathy for the free speech argument, Farooq? You sound like an intelligent, reasonable man. Would you, although offended by it, defend somebody's rights to possibly offend you, if you follow my questioning?
Yes, I think we need to strike a balance. To provoke the sentiments and feelings of others cannot be right. Any reasonable person would agree that if you provoke the sentiments of others by mocking what they hold to be sacred, that can only result in unrest and disorder in society. By ridiculing and mocking others, what will be achieved? Do we want to see unrest and division created in our society? You had the Pope Francis who spoke on this very matter recently, and he's to be commended for speaking out in favour of respecting all religions. I think there's a responsibility for all of us to collectively foster and create unity in society. I think we need to look at it in that context. And at the moment, if you look at freedom of expression, there are limits even in our law, in what we can do, things you can say. You can't be racist, you can't be homophobic, you can't be anti-Semitic. That can only be right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You might argue that if people are sufficiently offended, you are to some degree inciting racial hatred. But Farooq, is a faith that has been around for millennia, and you can include many faiths around the world, not strong enough and big enough to take a bit of mockery? I mean, if you look at Christianity has been ridiculed by many in films and the media over the years, and people are offended by it, but a lot of people go, well, actually, it's been around for 2,000 plus years, we're bigger than them.
I understand what you're saying, and I think Islam is a religion of reason. It's a religion which can stand up to scrutiny. It's a religion which can stand up to debate, and we're more than happy to debate, but I think a line has to be drawn somewhere. And currently on Friday, His Holiness, the Caliph of Islam, Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, spoke on how Muslims should respond. He said they should respond with patience and prayers. He said this was the way of the Prophet, and they should tell the world about his true character and respond by writing about true Islam. Now, as the adage goes, the pen is mightier than the sword. This is certainly what we're trying to do.
So how does a man get to the point where he goes into the offices of a magazine in Paris and shoots 12 people and then is pictured outside shouting, "We have avenged the Prophet"? Where does that come from, Farooq? Where does that come from a man who follows, essentially, he would say, the same faith as you?
Well, I think these people, we have to differentiate between Islam and the true teachings of Islam. These people have vested interests. Extremism, radicalization is on the increase. If you look at the root causes why people are being radicalized, youngsters are moving away, you have well-educated people. There's a lack of social mobility, you look at economics, you look at unemployment, education. These are factors which then lead on people to prey on them, and they're getting attracted by these radicals or extremists. I wouldn't say they've got anything to do with religion at all. I think we should all draw the line and say, look, yes, these people have got nothing to do with religion. They're extremists, and we need to deal with the root problem.
Farooq, good to talk with you. It was fascinating. Thanks for your time this morning. Farooq Aftab, who is a spokesperson for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. We can speak now.